A few years ago, I used to work at a job where I usually wouldn't get off until around 11 p.m. I didn't mind it for the most part. I'm a night owl by nature. But I read a lot of L&M and watch a lot of horror movies. I wouldn't say I'm paranoid, but I'm definitely cautious. This one particular night, I was driving home along with one of the main roads. It was late enough that traffic was fairly scarce, but not so late that I felt like I was the only one out, especially because there had been a Jeep behind me for a good while at that point. When it came time for me to make my first turn, the Jeep followed. This wasn't particularly unusual. I was still on a big road, so I didn't think anything of it. I needed to get gas, and luckily there was a fairly busy and well-lit station on my way home. I feel like the layout is important, so bear with me. From the road I was on, you had to turn left onto a side street, then turn right onto a street that runs parallel with a grocery store, and then turn right again to get into the gas station. It's a very specific destination, and there's no through traffic. When I went to make the first left, the Jeep got into the turn lane with me. This is when I started paying attention. They had already been behind me for a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and it seemed unlikely that they were just coincidentally going to the same gas station as me, considering how many there were in that area. But, as I said, there's also a grocery store that's open 24 hours, so I thought maybe they were just going there. However, they still followed after me. When I turned into the gas station, I pulled up to one of the pumps in the middle lane, put my car in park, and watched the Jeep in my rear view. There was no way in hell I was getting out of my car until I figured out what they were doing. If they pulled up to a pump and started getting gas, I'd laugh at myself and carry on. They didn't pull up to a pump. They lurked at the back of the lot, just idling in place for close to a minute. Finally, they started slowly driving around the far end of the pumps until they stopped again in front of my car, maybe 15 feet away. Unfortunately, they had tinted windows, so I couldn't see who was in the car or what they were doing. But after another brief period, they just drove off. I got gas and drove home, keeping an eye out, but I didn't see them again. Edit. I just realized something that honestly made me sick to my stomach. If I hadn't decided to get gas that night, and if they were in fact following me, my next turn would have taken me into a very large, very dark, very empty park. It takes almost 5 minutes to drive through and has million speed bumps, so there isn't any quick escape. I hate thinking about what could have happened if I hadn't stopped. Yikes, maybe this doesn't count as creepy and I'm reading into it too much, but I still think it's weird and it freaked me out at the time. I have no idea what they were doing. Were they following me? Was it just a coincidence after all? I'll never know for sure. But thanks, I hated it.